Bienvenidos, my friend, to another show of Cafecito with Rosie on air. Live from downtown Florida at Studio 24N. Sergio and Andy, you guys are awesome. And what do we talk in this show? About leading with a servant heart. Let me say that again, about leading with a servant heart. And why that? Because many business owners think that they have to sell something or that they have to put themselves out there and pressure people into their business. But when you understand what your calling is, things change drastically. And today I have my good friend, Joey Lombardi from National Kidney Partners, and we are going to talk about nephrology. Hi, how are you, Joey?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great, great. So tell me a little bit about you and your company. How long have you been working there and how you guys help the community?
Sure. So I've been working there for about 2 years. Previous to that, I did dialysis for about 13. I'm a nurse. Currently, I work as a renal care coordinator. So my job is kind of for our practice to outreach to these patients to find what they need and make sure they have it. I have a wife, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and now a 3-month-old.
So are you sleeping okay?
No, sleep doesn't happen.
Not yet, but it will. These times enjoy it so much because they fly by so fast. Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Oh.
So my company, National Kidney Partners, is one of the larger nephrology practices in Florida. And we try to be at the cutting edge of how to help these patients. Because for the longest time, everything was fee for service,
Right.
just to get as many things as you could get done every doctor's visit. That is not our goal.
Right.
Our goal is to look at a holistic care for these patients. You know, we look into cardiology needs, psychiatry needs, everything that sometimes doctors' offices just kind of check the boxes and send the patients out. That is the opposite of what our company does.
Right. And we have Steve here a couple of segments ago, and he actually had a kidney transplant, and he wrote a book about it. That I should bring it to you, but next time I'll give it to you because it's his story of he was a very healthy individual working up until the day that he felt something, went to the hospital, and he's in stage 4 kidney failure. And he had to had a transplant that happened. His sister was able to be a donor for him. But he talks about all the things that happened, which it was people don't understand. Medicare doesn't pay for, they only pay 80% of your dialysis. So now you have a 20% co-insurance that you have to be responsible for up to your maximum out of pocket. The other thing is the anti-rejection drugs after you receive the transplant. So there's a lot of things that people don't understand. And one of the things that I learned with Steve was that your kidneys works with every single part of your
the
body.
kidneys probably are one of the most complex organs. They maintain fluid balance, they maintain electrolyte balance, they produce urine, they filter toxins out of your blood. You know, everybody talks about, oh, they're working on a mechanical heart. Why can't they do a mechanical kidney? It's impossible.
Right.
The heart is a pump.
Right.
All it does is pump. But the kidneys are so perfect the way that they work.
And so I have another friend that she donated her kidney, and this is Debbie Lumberg. We love you, girlfriend. She actually met Debbie. Debbie is the person that received her kidney at a networking event. And it's not like they had too much of a connection, but Debbie went into the situation, Brenda went into the situation that she needed a kidney transplant. Debbie realized, hey, I can donate a kidney. So she went through the whole process of donating the kidney, and then she had her husband also donating a kidney. So her husband just turned, I guess she went a year before and her husband went a year later. But that we can live healthy with one kidney, but that there's a lot of need for that. And education is so important. So you coming from that nurse background, do you go around and help people? Like if there's a networking event or a group of people that need some information or some education about it, will you be able to provide some type of enlightenment?
Absolutely. The education is key for chronic kidney disease. There's stages 1 through 5. Most people are in stages 3 to 4 before they start feeling a problem. So, routine getting checked at your doctors, getting your labs done, maintaining what you should be doing, generally people know what they should be doing to be healthy.
Right.
But the problem with the kidney is some people may have an illness that they're unaware of. Hypertension is a big problem, diabetes. If you have high blood pressure and diabetes, you need to be seeing someone, a nephrologist, your primary care, somebody to be taking labs on you, because your values can change so quickly. You could go from completely normal this year to needing dialysis next year if you're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Right. And I think that's the biggest things. We worry so much about the sugar. And you don't know this, but my husband had open heart surgery in October of last year. It was unexpected, very healthy gentleman, but he had an aortic dissection. So here we go. It was on the top of his aortic valve. And so we had to have that. And now we look at everything because of the salt content. And salt increases your blood pressure. And it has been an eye-opening for us to even see that cottage cheese has so much salt.
Oh, yes.
The pickles that everybody eats has so much salt on it. So we have not, because of the situation, we have not been eating a lot because, we have to watch the salt content.
Yes.
We have to watch the sugar. And now I just got diagnosed with Meniere's disease. And Meniere's disease, you can't have caffeine, you can't have so it's
goodness.
like all these things. So the other day I went out, I had an event out of town, and I ordered some food from this restaurant, and I couldn't eat the food. It was so salty. And unless you really pay attention to take all these things out of your diet, people have it every single day and you do not even know about it.
Yes.
So tell me about, maybe people don't understand about the specialty of nephrologist, right? Because we all talk about, like, for example, with my mom being on, she's diabetic. I know her doctor was trying to get her diabetes under control, and it was not working. So I told her, no, Mom, you need to go to a endocrinologist, okay? Because that's diabetes. So tell me about the nephrologist.
So nephrologists are the kind of the unsung heroes. They really just monitor and watch and make sure everything is trending in the right directions. It's a very hard balancing act with nephrology, because a lot of times our patients, by the time they do come to us, they are stage 3 or 4, or they were in the hospital and, oh my God, my kidneys are failing, what's happening? So by the time we see them, it's a balancing act of, trying to protect the kidneys, trying to protect the heart, trying to protect the vascular system. But generally, if we can keep our patients stabilized with their kidney function levels and everything, that's really what it is. Nephrologists really are great. Honestly, they're kind of one of the smarter end of doctors too. A lot of people think that your cardiologists are the ones that maintain blood pressure medications and all that stuff because it's the heart. Sure, that they can, but if you are having blood pressure problems, you definitely want to see a nephrologist, because a lot of times it's the kidneys causing your pressure to increase, not the heart or not something else.
Yeah. And I think we talk a lot about cardiac problems or cardiovascular disease and all that stuff, and we have not educated enough on nephrology and the kidney, well, it's stages 3, 4, and 5, which people don't even know that you have, but people can have it. Last year in Pasco, Gold Kidney was one of the Medicaid Advantage that came into Pasco, Pinellas. This 2025, they move it into Hillsboro, but it was actually the introduction for me of the part of understanding dialysis, the cost of dialysis, which is about $125,000 per year per person. And the person is, if they're in Medicare, they're responsible 20% of that. So Gold Kidneys is one of those plans that have taken that need and make it affordable for people on their Medicare options. And that's what I became really understanding of the stages. So can you maybe go a little bit about those stages? Like, maybe with stage 1, you don't feel anything, but what should people look for?
So as the stages progress, the harder part of it is that you don't just go from having great kidneys to having bad kidneys. It's a slow decline. And usually you don't feel so bad with that slow decline. With the rapid ones that I have a problem and my kidneys failed, they feel it immediately. But the generally older population, as their kidneys are going down with age, sometimes they are rapidly going down with higher blood pressures and things like that. Honestly, the early stages, the only real things to track that are, your anemia you're gonna be anemic first. As you start trending, you're gonna start being a little bit more winded. You're gonna have increased fluid gains. You're gonna be swelling a little bit on the legs or shortness of breath. But generalized, it's just labs.
Right.
Labs are the only way to really find it, and that's the hardest part.
Right.
First of all, people can't afford to go to the doctor sometimes.
Right. Yes.
And those lab values are not seen until
late.
Late.
Can people perhaps talk to their primary care physician and say, hey, can we order some labs?
Yeah, generalized primary care should be drawing labs at least annually if the patients are coming annually.
Right.
A lot of people skip the doctors, but if their primary care is drawing labs like they should, it would show up in the generalized chemistries that, hey, your numbers are starting to change a little bit. You might want to start talking to a nephrologist.
Right.
That does happen. Often we'll have a primary care refer us a patient that they have been monitoring them, their numbers are declining, and they feel it's better to be handled by the nephrologist who specialize in that. But that's with current testing.
Right.
And it's difficult.
And that's also important why you have to select also a good primary care physician.
Yes.
So I know that's part of my being in the Medicare arena. I have met some wonderful primary care physicians, but even that in the 2025 year is changing. So there's going to be a lot of things that you will see, especially in the Medicare industry, that is changing drastically. And that's why we are educators. We want to make sure that people understand that they have options, but we need to be unbiased when it comes as a Medicare broker, where we represent all the companies out there. Our job is to be unbiased, representing people and letting them know what their options are. But primary care physicians, again, putting a plug in there for them. They're amazing. And the type of policy perhaps that you have, you also have options on that, because sometimes if the primary care physician doesn't feel the need that they need to send you to the nephrologist that you need, then you need access to quality care. And once you need that access to quality care, there's another different policies that you will have available. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get you the right plan for you to access the quality care that you need so you can get better, because we want our people to get better.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell me, you were mentioning something about your company also sometimes helps with arranging, because again, let's face it, I will say the older Medicare populations, sometimes they're lonely. They don't have children that take care of them. They have to fend for themselves. And by the time you get to them, they already have not only one problem, but multiple problems.
Yeah.
So you get to be kind of like an advocate for these people. So tell me a little bit about how do you handle that?
Well, I mean, every case is so specific. Everybody an individual tailored plan because one patient might be astronomically different than the next patient. So generally, I start with the basics of education. You know, what do you know about the kidney? What do you know about this? One of the biggest walls I face is when someone is trending lower, like it's looking like in the next year, 2 years, they're going to need dialysis. Because eventually the kidneys will just decline with age.
Right.
So when I'm talking to these people, it's hard for, let's say, an 85-year-old older person who doesn't have family or support.
Right.
When I'm starting to talk about dialysis with them, they have no idea what they're going to do.
Right.
And a lot of the times they're so terrified of it, they say, I don't want anything. I'm not going to start dialysis. I'm just going to pass. And then once the time comes, they end up in the hospital. They end up with a chest catheter stuck in their neck. They end up, rushing to get the things that they should have done ahead of time. So the one thing that our company tries to do more than ever is educating on pre-planning. Because if you have a plan in place, like let's say we know in the next 2 years your kidneys are going to fail. We need to get you prepped and ready for what dialysis is going to look like. So for me, that would be taking one of the patients to one of the facilities, showing them this is what dialysis looks like, this is the machine, this is what it does, breaking down all the information of, can you do this at home? Do you want to do this in center? The different modalities they can pick. They can go in-center hemo or home PD or home hemo. There's just different types of dialysis. So that is the biggest wall I face, is the pre-planning side of this. Because once the patient comes to us, they may be in stage 4.
Right.
They may have never known they had kidney issues. And we're talking about, hey, you're going to need this for the rest of your life until you get a transplant. For them, it was like getting hit by a truck.
Right.
You know, I was at the mall yesterday, and today I'm in the hospital and my kidneys are failing.
Right.
So pre-planning is the key to nephrology. If we can pre-plan ahead of what needs to be done, pre-planning based off labs, based off of medications, patients' histories and things like that, that's really where our education is super focused, is making sure that that patient makes the right choice for them.
As a caregiver, because that's the other aspect. So we do have people that do not have a person that they can bounce ideas or they live out of state. But as a caregiver, if you are a person that takes care of your parents, your grandparents, uncle, aunt, whatever, I think, what would you tell them to prepare for? I remember when I walked into my husband's after his heart surgery, I had already had an expectation of what to expect, because I guess there was a firefighter in one of the classes that I attended, and he was saying the biggest thing is you're going to have all these tubes coming out of you, and it's just because each tube has like a purpose. Now, my friend, though, she saw that each of those tubes was attached to a machine, and she broke down, and I had to kind of like say, hey, if I'm strong, you need to be either get out of here or whatever, because I have to be strong for my husband. But for her, that was a shocking. So what do you tell a caregiver what to expect when you're having this conversation? We're going to have in 2 years dialysis, and this is what they should expect.
So for the caregivers and the patients, I try not to sugarcoat it, because a lot of times in medicine, people try to protect the patient's feelings. Oh, they don't want to hear this. They don't need to hear this. They need to hear what this is going to be like, because dialysis needs to stop being such a dirty word that, oh my God, I need dialysis. It is not the best to be on dialysis. But kidney failure is the luckiest organ failure, because if your liver goes, you get a transplant or you die. If your heart goes, you get a transplant or you go. With your kidneys, at least you can live a semi-normal life on dialysis. So it's a perspective thing. I try to keep their perspective as this is not the worst that could happen. You don't have stage 5 lung cancer and you have 6 months. I was dealing with patients when I was working dialysis that have been on it for 20 plus years. So you have an illness, yes, I'm sorry, but your illness you will be able to live another 10, 15, 20 years if you follow the rules. And one of the biggest things we see is pre-planned patients have such a better outcome. You know, when it comes to the first 2 years is what our kind of statistics show, you know, we have a 70% increase with these patients when they are pre-planned to, I know I'm going to do this, I have my family on board, everybody knows. If they have a pre-plan in place, they will have such a better outcome. It's not going to be a big shock. It's not going to be a big surprise, you know. And explaining to the family, they're going to have to change their diet. They're going to have to change their medicine. They're going to have to change how much they drink, how much they eat, where they go, what they do. There's a ton of restrictions, but it beats the other side.
Right.
Unless there is, you know, you're dealing with someone that's maybe in their late 90s and it's, you know, yes, we could do this, but maybe you don't want to. So there are tough conversations sometimes when it brings up hospice or brings up end of life care. Nobody wants to talk about that, and I understand that, you know. But
it's part of life.
It is a part of life, and sometimes that is the correct treatment option. You know, we always say there's 5 treatment options for dialysis. There's in-center hemo, there's home hemo, there's PD, there's transplant, and then there's no dialysis. Choosing the no dialysis, we know the outcome. But that could be the correct option for somebody who's got 100 other things wrong, is in a lot of pain. A lot of cases I have to talk to family members who are just not ready to let go of mom or dad or whatever. It's the hardest thing to talk to those people because I try to put myself in their shoes. I don't want to say goodbye to my mom or my dad or anyone like that. But working in the field for long enough, I have seen what happens if you kind of hold on. That other person suffers. Not always, not 100% of the time. But when someone like me or another renal care coordinator or someone who has experience in the field, you know, we're not going to tell you something because, oh, we don't want to deal with that person. It's not like that. Especially with end of life is such a touchy subject because some people go from 0 to angry like that.
I about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, my dad's 4th brother, younger brother, passed away, and I told him he was a maverick. He had, his cancer was really spread, and he never accepted that, but he went the way he wanted. He did not want it, you know, chemotherapy. He did not want it to be restricted, and he just says, no, I don't have cancer. He passed away the way he wanted it. Some people, that's the way they want to go, and I think that's the biggest power that you can give a person, you know, is selecting the way that you're going to transcend to you know, the next phase of your life. And my dad said this one time, and it shocked me, but the day you are born is the day you start dying. You know, and if we just stop talking about death, and jokingly enough, my husband has been watching that Swedish death cleaners, and it's a show about people that they are going to pass away, so they have a terminal cancer and stuff like that.
Oh, I guess.
But now you have all this junk and all this hoarding stuff that you have that you're not going to take with you. And of course, now you leave that to your significant other or your lover, your loved one. And I think after my husband came face to face to his mortality, one of the discussions we were having one day is like, you know, you left me all this. I would not have known what to do with that. And we realized we carry a lot of baggage that we don't need. But the Swedish death cleaners, and I guess in Sweden, talking about dying is a very normal, a very conversation. This is what I want. This is how I want it.
That's one thing with our practice. It's not really pushed, but that's kind of one of our focuses is to get people aware you're going to die one day. You know,
Right.
we need to plan for this because it doesn't have to be such a terrible subject.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, a lot of the people that I work with, they have living wills in place and they're in their 30s and 40s.
Yes.
Because they have seen what happens in the field of medicine. You know, I don't want to go into the crazy parts here, but sometimes you will see a case like when I was working in dialysis, you will see a case where there's a person who has no family, who has no one responsible for them. There was one case where the patient had had a stroke and was almost brain dead, but we were still dialyzing that person because
there was no
the state of Florida says you have to continue doing that.
Right, right.
Was it right for that person? Probably not. Would they have chosen that? Probably not. But they continued on for years in a lot of distress because of it.
Yeah.
So pre-planning will save you in the future of medicine, you know, with whatever you do.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously people talk about pre-planning for everything, but
right.
if you're pre-planning your finances, worrying about your 401ks and stuff like that, why are you not pre-planning your medical future?
Yeah. I mean, right now finally we're talking about the taboo of money, right? Because people don't want to talk about money, but the reality is, what's the Americans' biggest fear? It's run out of money when you retire, you know? And if you think about it, the last people that we have in America with a little bit of savings is the baby boomers. But now we have a generation that is learning and understanding about financial literacy, and it has taken some time. So why not, again, having this myth and talked about, educated about? Because yes, pre-planning is the way to go. You are the only sure thing that's going to happen in your life is change and death, and taxes also too. But you know, you're going to die. Prepare for
the other sure thing in life, if you're a man, is pleasing your wife. Because that if you don't do that, oh my God, if she's unhappy,
nobody's happy. Mama happy, nobody's happy. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so amazing, and I look forward to seeing you more around and bringing you on to another show to talk a little bit more about education, and perhaps taking you around to some of my, I call it my little fan groups of my Medicare recipients, where they're always waiting, where's Rosie? Oh, I found Rosie today. But tell everybody else how they can reach you, how they can reach your company. You have a website?
Yeah, so we have National Kidney Partners. You can find us online. We have nephrology practices all through Pinellas, a couple in Hillsborough. We have some in Hudson, Spring Hill, down south in Bradenton. We've kind of expanded to other parts of Florida too. We have a couple in the Treasure Coast. Each one of them kind of has different names, but we all operate under the same umbrella.
And now you do the education part. So if somebody would like to invite you to speak at their group,
Oh yeah, you can email me at jlombardi@nationalkidneypartners.com.
And we're gonna go ahead and put that in the at the bottom of this video. So one more time, the email?
jlombardi@nationalkidneypartners.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today, Joey. We really appreciate it.
Welcome.
And my friends, I hope this is some eye-opening experience to understand that we have to prepare for everything. We have to pre-plan for everything. And the more pre-plan there's happening, the less stress. And that is a way that you will show love to your loved ones. So make sure your legacy lasts a very long time, but the love that you provide to the people that are caring for you. And with this, stay pure, stay positive, and stay inspired. See you next time. Ciao.